We're continuing with the Black Albums series. The books have been cut on a guillotine, and they all have nice, sharp edges now all the way around. One of the things I wanted to talk about before we go any further is using the guillotine. I have a friend in the city who has a guillotine, and she can cut these edges for me. You can't do this by hand. I mean, these are just way too thick a book. So what we do is, because the books hopefully have been sewn so that you push the signatures each to the head, you have a neat side and possibly a rough side on the tail side of the book. And you're going to cut the tails off first. Now, ideally, you'll go to a guillotine that has enough space to take, two books, like this, if you're doing two books. If you're only doing one book, you have a little bit of a problem. And that is that the spine, as you see here, is thicker than the foredge. And when you use a guillotine, the first thing that happens is a clamp comes down and then the knife cuts. So what you don't want to do is crush the spine, because like that extra pressure will push it out of a line, or it could just make a real mark, on the spine edge. So what you'll do is you'll put the book in, you'll take some scrap paper, fan it out a little bit, and then lay this in. And it doesn't have to come to the edge that's going to be cut. It just has to go where the clamp is going to go to hold the book in place before the knife comes down. This extra paper will make up the difference between the thickness of the spine and the thinness or the thickness of the foredge. So you'll cut the edge and then take your second book if you're having to make a match set, and then do the same thing. Put the paper on, put the packing material on, and cut the edge. Then you turn the book around so that you can cut the head. So you're cutting the tail first, then the head, and you'll do the same thing with the packing material, to protect the book. And then at the end, fold your tapes back, put this into the guillotine. I'm using this side as the knife. And press this against the back, and you don't have to pack out the front, the foredge, because the foredge, the clamp will just simply come down here. It doesn't come down on the whole book. It only comes down on the edge where it's going to be cut, and then your foredge is the last edge to be cut. Okay, that being said now, I'm going to set up some glue. Because I'm going to make a false headband, and people have asked, why I don't clean out my roller pan. You see, this is a vinyl roller pan here, and I don't wash the PVA out. I just let it dry inside. So this is why, rather than wasting a lot of water to clean something, I can simply peel the dried PVA out like that, and then you have a sparkling clean pan. If you washed it, you'd probably leave a little bit of residue in there, which probably doesn't matter, but this makes it a lot easier for me to just throw it away and not waste water, cleaning things up. So that being said, I'm going to take the PVA, and people have asked, what the glue is that I use. This is from Ernest Schaefer. Can you see that? It is the number 22 cold flexible glue. It's actually an adhesive. Glues are animal-based, like fish and horse hooves and things like that. I'm only going to need a little bit of glue here, because we'll have to do the spines and the false headband. Okay, I have my little spatula here. So I'm going to mix a little bit of water with this. The glue is pretty good at this point, but you see how it's really making a thread that's like, and it doesn't break. So I'm going to add just a little bit of water to thin it out, because what I want to have happen is that the glue should be mixed for the roller so that the stream that falls off of the spatula here will start to break at about 10 inches. So when I pull this up, you see it is now starting to break into drops, at about 10 inches. Okay, so we are ready. Put the spatula here and get the materials for the false headband. This is the covering material that I'm going to use for the books, and I want these to match, the cover. So I'm going to take the 2 strips of fabric like this. I'm going to put a crease in it like that. And you see that this is an uneven crease like that. And here I have some ordinary cord. And I'm going to cut 2 pieces here because I'm going to have like a lot of extra headband here. Okay, 1 for each. I have my folder, and I'm going to glue out the fabric. Then I put the cord in, bring the fold over, and with the folder bring it right up to the headband material. And there we have some headband material. So I'll glue this one out. Bring the headband material here, lay the string in, fold the edge over, stick it down a little bit here, and then take the folder and finish this off. Finish touching this one up, and we'll let those dry. Now we're ready to round the spines, and we're going to round the spines because we want to make this all an even thickness, and that'll take the thickness where we have added all the thread and put it into an arc so that we can bind the book and put it into a press. So we start out by gluing the spine. and working the glue so that it makes all of the signatures stick together at that in between. You may have to look and see on the sides here where the glue is, and even take your finger and just sort of spread like this, so that the glue is mostly between the signatures, holding them together. Like that. And I'm going to put the little cut ends of thread down as well in here. This one needs a little more glue here. And then just sort of wipe the excess off. And then we're going to let this get a little bit dry before we start to hammer this around it. These are rather thick signatures and they need to have a little more glue pushed in here. Okay. Put this one aside and we'll do the next one. I'm putting a little more glue on this roller because those are pretty deep cracks there. Okay. You can see where the glue is in and where there's little air spaces. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you want to get the most of it together. And we're going to put more glue on it when we do when we line the spine as well. Okay, let me put this one aside. And this one might even be ready. I think we can, it's still a little tacky. We'll wait just a few minutes. And then I'll be back. While that's getting ready, we should just sort of prepare the mull and the paper for the lining. So I'm going to take these 2 sheets of lining paper here, mark this to the length of the book. And it's cut down. And then for the spine, we need pieces of this mull that will go around and wrap about 1 inch So tear that. And we want this to go just across the kettle stitches. So take this and I'll cut that and rip this. So okay, that's one. And let's see how big this one is here. I'm going to wrap this around here like that. Okay, and the length. There, now we're ready. This seems to be all right now. It has a little bit of a tack, but not too much. So what I'm going to do is take the book, and then I'm going to push it like this, and grab it with the left hand, and put it on the table like that. And this is a simple hammer with a convex face. And strike between the kettle stitches first. Just on the top edge like that. Then I'll turn this over, bend the book again, grab it tight with the left hand, and we'll do the same thing here. And as you can see now, the spine has been rounded very lightly. And this takes all of the thickness by moving all of the thickness out to the outside edge. We could give this a little bit more of a round. I'm going to give this just a little bit more and hit it just a little lower on the spine. Turn it over. Grab it, pull it back. I'm hitting it just a little bit lower now, just between the kettle stitches. There. See, now we have a round book, and it's relatively flat all the way across. Do this again. And see how I'm putting the book so that it's like flat on the table here, and this edge is up. So I can hit it. Turn it over, grab, pull back. Adjust the round here. Okay, I'm going to hit this just a little bit lower now. And we'll stand this up and adjust the round. And there we are. We have a rounded spine. Now we can set these on the ends, over the edge of the table like this. Put the tapes down. And we can start to line the spines. So we'll take the glue again and glue up the spine. And do the same thing here. Need a little more glue. Okay. Then we take our maul and put this on here. And rub this down. Okay, now at this step, I'm going to take the headband material. I'm going to trim a straight edge. And then I'm going to try to print some glue on the inside of this. Now see, with the marks of the glue here now, I know where to cut it. Do the same thing on this side. And then I'll take a little bit of glue here. Let that get a little bit tacky. Match this one here. And this one here. Okay. Put a little glue on here. Needs a little more here in the center. And then we'll apply these to the head and tail of the spine. Give these a bit of a rub down, make sure they're nicely attached, and then we can put the paper linings on. Now, one of the things you should know is, like, when you cut the lining paper, the grain of the paper should run parallel to the spine, just like it does on the pages. So, put this glue over here so we can see what's going on. Now I'll just glue the spine up again. This gives the book some strength and helps keep it closed. And I want to fill in glue here, all those little holes. And I'll take the paper and put this right on the edge, like this. I'm going to just make it get in contact with the glue first. It's not going to stick right away. So I'm going to let that rest and do the next one. And we'll attach the paper here as well. The tack should have developed really well now here, so I can just rub this down. And I'm going to turn the book over so I can pull this tight and rub it right up to the edge. Making sure we have good contact with the spine. Okay. And I want this to be a fairly sharp, edge right here, so. Now this should have dried just enough so that I can pull this back and we'll do the second layer. So I'm going to fold this tight, right on the edge of the book. Like that. Okay, and then we will glue this second sheet down as well. You don't need to put as much glue here because there's not any porosity in this. You just want to attach it. So turn the book over again and pull this tight and make sure that the paper's all in contact. Oops, gotta put the paper down. This paper is Arches Text Laid. You can use really any paper that you have, even paper that has drawings or scrap on it. Or I often use some of my paste papers. You know, when I have scraps the right size, but I just happen to have all white paper today. A lot of times when we do repairs, we'll take books apart and we'll find out that the binders used old newspapers back here. I wouldn't recommend that today because the books we were doing then were made with better paper that didn't deteriorate quite so fast. The newspaper we have now is really not very good for this kind of work. But you can use, you know, old drawings and scrap paper that you happen to have around your binding. Okay, then we'll fold this back. We have really good tack now. And what I'll do is I'm going to tear the excess off like this. And then we'll rub the edges down. See, I just use my finger here and my thumb is kind of the fulcrum to tear the paper against the edge. And when the grain is going the right way, this will tear very easily. So there we have it. The spines are lined and we have headbands. Next step is to make a case. So I'm going to let these dry and then we'll get to that a little later. The headbands have a little bit of white showing right here where the filler is actually white. So what I'm doing is I'm taking some watercolor and I'm just touching these up so that they are blue like the fabric itself. And there we are, all blue.